somewhere in the darkness of space, there is an extraordinary artifact of a lost civilization. Anonymous and silent, it is an accomplishment greater than anything mankind has to offer. Its very existence challenges the imagination. And yet, 33 years after its first appearance, we still know nothing about it. Star Trek The Next Generation's 6th series brought us the episode Relics. Written by Ronald D. Moore, it is a study of a man out of his own time, a man in a future that has few uses for him. It's a very human tale, a relatable tale, particularly for men used to being productive, who then retire or are made redundant. And yes, I have been there. The human story in Relics is probably the best Montgomery Scott story in Star Trek, and James Doohan delivers. My only real criticism lies with the use of the American word diaper. The British do not say diaper. This video, however, is not a review, nor is it about Montgomery Scott. Instead, we will focus on the Dyson Sphere, and then ask a few questions concerning the Jenolan. If Arthur C. Clarke can be called the inventor of the communications satellite, seemingly for being the first to come up with the idea, then perhaps the Dyson Sphere should be renamed the Stapledon Sphere, as Olaf Stapledon described one in his book Star Maker, many years before Friedman Dyson published his thought experiment. But for the sake of clarity, we will call it a Dyson Sphere. Of course, the megastructure of Relics is not really a Dyson Sphere. A true Dyson Sphere would be a swarm of energy collectors surrounding a star, rather than a single solid structure. The sphere shown in Relics is a very solid object, and its shell seems to be at least 3 or 4 kilometers thick. Entire star systems would have had to be mined out of existence to provide enough material to build it. The Dyson Sphere of Relics is 200 million kilometers in diameter, meaning its interior surface is 100 million kilometers away from its star, similar to the planet Venus. By way of comparison, the Earth is about 149 million kilometers away from the Sun. The exterior shell of the Dyson Sphere is said to be carbon neutronium. Inside, we glimpse a landscape of mountains, oceans, and vast cities. If you lived in the sphere, you would not know sunrise or sunset. Daylight would be continuous, and you would not know night. The sphere is so huge that its curvature would not be noticeable, and so you would think the world was flat. Imagine if you chose to walk westwards. At a very stately 5 kilometers an hour, you walk for 10 hours every day. At such a pace, it would take you 34,428 years to circumnavigate the sphere. The surface area is estimated to be in excess of 250 million M-class planets. That is a lot of space, 10 to the 16th square kilometers. By way of comparison, the Earth's surface area is about 510 million square kilometers, of which only slightly less than 149 square kilometers is land. The star at the heart of the Dyson Sphere is a G-type main sequence star, a yellow dwarf like our own Sun, Tau Ceti, 51 Pegasi, and Alpha Centauri. Although called a yellow dwarf, the G-type tend to be white or exhibit only a hint of pale yellow. If the Dyson Sphere star is comparable to our own star, it might have enough fuel for 10,000 million years, so the sphere might be very old indeed. Although its tractor beam system is still operational, and as it is clearly automated, then we can assume a computer of sorts, and so its abandonment must be relatively recent. Eventually, the star would use up its supply of hydrogen and likely expand into a red giant, devouring the Dyson Sphere. By then though, the sphere would have corroded into debris and formed a dust cloud. Its sheer size would make it an irresistible gravitational well for comets, meteors, and other interstellar visitors of any size. Relics is a very frustrating episode from a science fiction standpoint. As pointed out elsewhere, the discovery of this Dyson Sphere should be epoch-making. It is the largest artificial object in the known galaxy. Its internal surface is thick with clues and artifacts of a powerful alien civilization. That civilization had developed to the point at which it could harness the energy of a star, making it a Type II civilization on the Kardashev scale. What we should have got was the Star Trek equivalent of Rendezvous with Rama, only much, much bigger. Consider the archaeology to be had, the clues and cultural and technological artifacts left behind, the opportunities for horror, adventure, and suspense. There should have been a sequel episode to Relics. Indeed, a whole season based around exploring the Dyson Sphere. Even with the unstable star, the sphere's existence offers many opportunities for storytelling and potential adventure. And yet, we never really learn anything more about it, beyond the novelization of the episode and the sequel book by Pellegrino and Zebrowski. What happened to the population, given the scale of land available and assuming a humanoid species not unlike man? We might suppose a population of 2 trillion, assuming the trillion to be the proper original British trillion, a million million million, rather than the more common American trillion, a million million. Where did they all go? Unless there was another Dyson Sphere nearby, we might suppose they spread out across the galaxy, and yet the Federation seems to have no record of them. The Dyson Sphere is not the only noteworthy aspect of Relics. There are puzzles concerning the Jenolan. The Jenolan is a Sydney-class transport, NCC 2010. She is a relic of the Star Trek movie era, complete with familiar nacelles, an upper bridge module, and an impulse deflection crystal. For some reason, she lacks any obvious deflector dish, in spite of having the perfect space for one. Here, we see how it would look with a deflector dish. Puzzle 1. We might wonder how it is that the Jenolan could be so easily repaired by Scotty and LaForge. If it was so easy, then why did the Jenolan spend 75 years crashed on the surface? Then again, the equipment brought aboard by LaForge might well have been enough to make the necessary repairs. But still, the episode makes it seem a little bit too straightforward and quick. Puzzle 2. The crashed Jenolan seems to change position on the surface of the sphere. Compare these images. Note the raised square shapes in the first image, and then compare this to the second image. It is as if the Jenolan has taken it upon herself to creep forward a little. Puzzle 3. Montgomery Scott and Matt Franklin are said to be the only survivors, and yet, given the size of the Jenolan, we might expect a complement of up to 300 or 400. If the nacelles are the same size as those of the Constitution II class, then the Jenolan must be about 230 meters in length. The Jenolan crashed, but she crashed in such a manner that Scotty and LaForge were able, in a short space of time, to power up the Jenolan and lift her into orbit, complete with shields. When Riker, Worf and LaForge first beam aboard, they find life support just about operable and a few of the other systems still working. So just what happened to kill most of the crew, leaving only 2 left? The crash was clearly not very destructive, but what killed the rest of the passengers and crew? Where are the bodies? The novelization gives the ship a complement of 36. According to the novel, all but Scotty, Franklin, the Jenolan's captain and her chief engineer, were sheltering in the residence quarters when those quarters suffered a hull breach that killed them. Yet, if the Jenolan is 230 meters long, she would be a very large ship for only 36 people. Puzzle 4, and this is very likely to be reading too much into it, but the choice of name, Franklin, for Scotty's companion, the companion who does not survive, brings to mind the lost Franklin expedition. This Arctic expedition may have involved cannibalism, which makes one wonder if Scotty and Franklin resorted to cannibalism after the Jenolan crash. This is unlikely, of course, but it is still curious that the lost Matt Franklin would have that name. The Dyson Sphere is an enigma, its construction a triumph beyond the capabilities of any civilization encountered by the United Federation of Planets. And yet, frustratingly, after Relics, we hear nothing further about it. From a story writing point of view, it is simply a means to trap the Enterprise and provide drama. But in universe, its discovery ought to be earth-shattering. Even the occasional mention of, say, a scientific expedition heading to the Dyson Sphere or a recent archaeological discovery, peppered in amongst the succeeding episodes, would have been acceptable. Instead, the Dyson Sphere vanishes, rather like Scotty. What happened to him after Relics? These questions will probably never be answered. We are long past the point at which it could be done satisfactorily. Meanwhile, I hope you enjoyed this video, or at least didn't hate it.